Hi everyone. So I was just asked to sit down and create a video based around a channeled message that I just sat and wrote this afternoon. And I was invited to sit down and write, I guess, a kind of a love letter to myself, but I was told that this love letter would be for anyone who is hearing this message. And so I'd like to read that message and just talk a little bit about some of the energetics that are going on at the moment that I'm experiencing, both for myself and in the collective. And so the message that comes through, and this is the 4th of September 2023, and the first thing I want to say before I read it is that there is such an energy of tenderness and love and compassion coming through here. It's, it makes me feel very emotional, and at the same time, I also feel this sort of lightening up, this lifting of energies, but it feels like this is sort of happening as an internal alchemy on many levels. So anyway, I'm going to read, and the message is really beautiful. And there's an invitation just to, if you wish, to close your eyes and just come into your heart as you hear these words. Dear love, today I want you to forgive yourself and let go. Stop making things harder on yourself by resisting your good and what is good for you. Let the tears flow. Don't swallow back the tides of grief. Ancient waves of sorrow emerge from you and through you, for you are a conduit of light, here to cleanse the shadows from this world. Your great heart is a doorway. You need not feel guilty for feeling. Your feelings are valid, and you are bearing witness to eons of displacement of truth and trapped energy, which is now finding its way home through you to the divine. And you are also a doorway of great remembrance for how things should be here on this earth. You have been entrusted with a treasure so pure and refined that it can only shine through you. You are the vessel of your soul, and no other lens can clearly reveal what you came to share, or in the same way. While others may carry a similar message, it is not precisely the same. Yet a great merging of souls is occurring. Humanity is returning to the one soul in consciousness. Individuals, and yet aligned and aligning yet in sacred purpose. This is the homecoming. A division has been needed to illuminate the sense of separation. This has sparked an urgent and painful yearning in the hearts of those who are ready for the returning. Come home, come home, come home. We go with you, we wait upon you. We are you and we honor you. In loving devotion, the angels of light source. Christos is returned, heaven is on the wing. All those who have burned, release what's held within. This is a prayer of remembering. So there's this sense of huge release, lots of emotion and waves of emotion. And I know energetically we have sort of Venus is going direct, I think yesterday from when I made this video, but it was still in a kind of a post retrograde shadow phase until I think around the 7th of October. And so I feel this great release of so much emotion that's been held within. And a lot of the grief that we're releasing is to do with this sense of separation, this feeling of being cut off from source, and that we've been cut off from source for so long. But of course, we haven't. We've never been cut off from source. This is all just a belief system. This is all just a conditioning. This is all just layers of, what we've been told, and, the putting in of the middleman and whatever else, patriarchy, whatever else, our belief systems. It's so simple to reconnect. It's so simple to sit in wholeness if we just return home to the love that's held within our hearts. But we must also honor and acknowledge that we are human, and we must honor and acknowledge our emotions. And I'm a deep, deep feeler, and I know that sometimes my emotions get the better of me. Sometimes I feel completely overwhelmed by emotion, and I try to find logical boxes to put it in. It might be that I get annoyed at my husband for something, and it's not his fault at all. It's nothing to do with him. A lot of the emotion that we're feeling is literally we're feeling each other, because as we come into this unity love consciousness again and we come back into wholeness, we're feeling each other's hearts, we're feeling each other's beauty, we're having beautiful telepathic experiences, many of us. But a lot of those experiences are emotional. So we're really feeling each other's emotions. And as I've said in previous videos, our reach is much wider now. So we're feeling the whole earth, we're feeling humanity, we're feeling all these old timelines kind of alchemizing, sifting through us and releasing. I feel like we're also letting go of so many old beliefs and ideas about who we think we are as individuals and as a humanity. And what you're going to start really feeling at the moment is this releasing of harsh criticism. So where have I been harshly critical of myself, or where have I been harshly critical of another, or where have I needed to, try and juggle, who's to blame in any situation, or, who needs to carry what, because so much of it is blurred lines now. Is this mine or is this yours? It's like, what am I feeling? What are you feeling? Is this mine? Is this yours? What's individually mine? How do I now disseminate and discern what is mine from the other, as we come into this great re-merging of this collective consciousness? And I also wrote a poem recently. It's really interesting. It's sort of like this death birth doorway again that we find ourselves in, and so much of this is what I've experienced since I was a child. It's just so miraculous and beautiful and aligning, and yet completely, and I love this word, discombobulating, because it's sort of uncharted territory. When we feel ourselves as the oneness, we feel it all. We feel it all, and there need not be any rational or logical reason for it. We often, if we feel an emotion, or I've found this as well as humans, we feel an emotion in our body, something gets triggered, and we immediately want to go to our rational mind and go, why am I feeling that way? Who's to blame, or where did it come from, or what triggered it? But what if it is just about observing these emotions as they move through, and holding ourselves in love as we observe them? And I'm finding more and more I'm really sitting in that place of observing the human me. I'm like, oh wow, the human me is having a meltdown. The human me is really reacting. But more and more I can feel myself also as the overlighting presence of me, just holding compassion. Like, the thing I'm noticing in terms of energetics is that it's a lot easier to move through things, even though the feelings are more intense. So when I was in Malta, I would step into a place. I do a lot of energy work and grid work on the planet, and especially around a lot of the ancient temples and places that I was visiting, and some of the Templar stuff, is that I would step into a place or a space, and I would feel the lower vibration energy a lot more intensely than I ordinarily would. But it was so much easier just to move through it, just to clear it. And I'm finding this with the emotional stuff as well. Even though the emotions are way more intense, it's sort of like they're ripping up through the body. They're just almost like moving through. They're easier to move through. So we're going to find that it's a lot easier to let go of old patterns and programs. It's much more rapid, I'm finding these days. And especially, as we have all these planets in I believe we've got all these planets in retrograde, and I'm wondering if that's helping. I'm not an astrologer. I do love the work of Pam Gregory, so check her out. She'll have more information on that. But yeah, I'm finding that it seems to be, I don't know if loads of planets in retrograde are meant to be a negative thing. I'm kind of experiencing it as a bit of a positive thing. I'm finding things might be more intense, but they're lightening up much quicker, much faster these days. So if you're experiencing that, I think that that's something that is definitely going on for the healers and the alchemists among us. But my nan passed last week, and she was 99 years old, and she really was an incredible saint of a human being. You know, never had a bad word to say about anyone. But the day that she passed, this beautiful poem came through, and I'd really love to share this because I feel like it sums it up. You know, we're letting go of harsh judgment, we're letting go of harsh criticisms of ourselves and each other. And I mean, even of what's on the news, the government, all of these things, things that, you know, if we're pointing fingers again, what's pointing back? Anyway, the poem that came through is, to me, just so beautiful. It's called Sublimity. And I keep having to come back to this because if we're struggling to see somebody else's perspective or point of view, and we're going to see a lot of this division, you know, it's going to intensify yet. But the one thing that we must hold on to is that we are all part of this one soul, this one divine soul. We must try to love the soul if we struggle to love the person or the action. You know, you don't have to, you know, kind of lie down like a doormat and take abuse, move yourself out of any dangerous situations. But obviously, it's the loving of the soul that's going to heal humanity and coming into deep forgiveness. And on my Instagram this morning, there was a message of, you know, stop second guessing yourself, stop being so hard on yourself. The first person we need to love and forgive is ourselves. And that's where it really starts. So the poem goes like this. If you struggle to love the person, love the soul. Half is human, whole is gold. For all contain the spark within, holy, untainted, free from sin. Illumined, eternal, never-ending, yet to begin, all forgiven, all unfolding, all ever yet evolving, all created from the one, humans shining like the sun. All is full of love. Where you place your lover's eye, light will blossom, love arise, heaven pouring from the skies. And in the heart where soul resides, emerges God and Goddess, now combined. Earth and stars as one entwined, pure embrace, never undone, two dazzling fires becoming one. Greeting another in this vibration sparks their true illumination, ablaze with truth, in step with time, in love with life, divine within the soul sublime. All may meet within this space, the Christos in the human race. And this leads me to want to talk a little bit about twin flames and the sort of twin flame phenomenon that's been playing out on this planet for many of us. And if you're somebody who has experienced a twin flame union, or you've been in a twin flame partnership, or if you've met your twin flame and you're having that kind of push-pull thing of like thinking, oh, we're supposed to be together but we're apart, da 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 da. My feeling around this is that there's been a lot of confusion around the twin flame purpose and a lot of distortion around the twin flame. I call it a phenomenon because it really is a phenomenon. It's something that can feel quite supernatural if you're experiencing it or have experienced it. And ultimately, the purpose of a twin flame experience is to help you to find union within yourself, to balance your inner masculine and feminine and come into sacred union with your own divinity and really become whole within yourself, because ultimately we don't need somebody else to complete us. And I think part of the purpose of these twin flame unions is to actually alchemize and clear a lot of the distortions and the fantasies around true love and love relationships and masculine and feminine and male and female and battle of the sexes and all these different things. Ultimately, it is such a pure, pure love when you meet a soul counterpart. And I actually feel you can have more than one of these as well. And I feel like this was reflected in the poem. You know, when it's such an intense love like that you can't put it into words, that it goes beyond logic, it goes beyond reason, and it feels like such a reconnection and a reunion of the soul. And yet at the same time, it feels so painful, and it sparks this incredible yearning, this feeling of, oh my God, you really acknowledge your separateness. You really feel somehow separate, and it's like this urge to reconnect, to come back into wholeness, to come into union. And it can spark all kinds of shifts and all kinds of pain and all kinds of fury and all kinds of miracles, love, devotion, like you're riding on the wings of angels. It's such an intense journey. But I do feel that the twin flames have been really meeting in full force on this planet the last few years, especially. There's so many twin flames coming into reconnection. You know, even if you only just meet once for 5 minutes, the very fact that you've crossed paths has sparked a huge alchemy within the collective consciousness. And this alchemy is really this meeting of the soul. It sparks like an internal flame within, which is the remembrance of that sacred union to our divinity. You know, it's the reconnection of the soul to the divine. And it's the remembrance. And the more of us that go through this alchemy and remember ourselves as whole and complete within ourselves and come into that sacred union within, the more we're going to be able to see and recognize the divine within the other. And I mean within everybody else, without exception. The good, the bad, the ugly, you know, like everybody carries this flame within. Every single person, without exception, carries this flame within. And of course, many of us have different layerings, different stories, different programming, and how we behave as humans is down to the individual. And it's not up to us as those seeing the spark within to make excuses for those who are behaving badly or not stepping into their path. But we must also honor and acknowledge that every soul has a purpose. And I also think of Gollum in Lord of the Rings. You know, he wasn't love and light, he wasn't necessarily a good guy, but he had a part to play. So in this great awakening, in this great unfoldment, we can only look through the lens of where our consciousness is at. And some of us are looking through a really human, sort of 3D, very day-to-day lens, full of judgments. Some of us are coming at it maybe through a more loving lens, you know, trying to see the good in everybody. But ultimately, none of us really can see the whole picture. It's like we're all coming together in this sacred union to start piecing together that picture and that remembrance. And in that love letter that I read in the beginning, it's like each of us holds a key lens or a key facet of that bigger picture of the truth. And when I say the truth, it's truth with a capital T, the divine truth, the wholeness, the oneness. Interestingly, my throat is going while I'm talking about it because so much of that truth has been suppressed. And, you know, how much of it is, you know, that suppression is also still happening within us. You know, they're things that we still don't want to see. They're bits of ourselves we don't want to let go of. You know, we can be quite comfortable in our human lives. And if we're on any level being asked to move on from a situation or a person or a place, that can be really tricky to navigate. A lot of us have lives and been living on a timeline that we have felt really certain about. But all these timelines are becoming really uncertain at the moment. And all we can do is ask to be put on our highest divine timeline. But if you ask for that for yourself, my invitation is to ask for that for everybody. You know, if I'm coming onto my highest timeline, I ask that everybody on this planet be lifted to their highest timeline as well, in the right way for them, in the right time for them, in the right space for them. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I feel like, you know, if you're experiencing the twin flame phenomenon, you know, try not to get caught up in this kind of fairy tale belief of, oh yeah, we've got to be together, we have to make this work, blah blah blah. Ultimately, it's all in alchemy, and it's all in inner teaching, and unconditional love for yourself and the other is really going to get you through it. And but try to take that energy of that beautiful unconditional love, that unbelievable love that you feel with the twin, and try to apply that to everybody in your life. Try to apply that to your family, to your friends, to your partner if you have one, to your loved ones. try to take that energy and share it, and it will spread like wildfire. It's an incredible energy. And sexual energy is a potent energy to reconnect us to our divinity. And it has been really distorted, really suppressed, and really misused on this planet. It's also an incredible energy of manifestation. And if we use it to direct our consciousness towards unity, love, consciousness for all, it is really powerful and can move mountains. So the other thing that's coming up in terms of a bit of an energy update is that the animals are really, really speaking at the moment. A lot of the animals are remembering their humanness, and many humans are remembering their animal nature. And I'm actually experiencing animals being a lot more vocal, a lot more telepathic. I'm seeing animals bringing together beautiful people. Yesterday I went for a walk in the park while I was waiting for a friend, and this gorgeous little Yorkie terrier came bounding up. He was on a lead, and he dragged the owner over to me, and we had this beautiful heart-centered conversation. And we just sat and chatted, and we talked about things. It just felt like a real meeting of souls, and it was the beautiful little dog that had connected us. And I'm seeing this everywhere, animal totems coming out of the woodwork everywhere. Lots of interesting things as well, like a lot of death and rebirth symbolism lately. We had a bat, gorgeous little bat circling our house the other night, and of course bats are like death and rebirth. So we're really seeing this kind of breaking apart of realities much more clearly. And for those of you who are on the awakened path and who are studying metaphysics and spirituality and really working on your consciousness, this is going to feel more intense than those that are kind of remaining on more of a 3D wavelength. There are quite a few people still on the planet that are really oblivious to what is going on. They may be feeling it in their emotions. They might be feeling it in terms of it playing out as a bit of a mental health story. But those of you who are, working with magic, working with the occult, with esoteric, with healing, with energies, walking a yogic path, you'll be feeling this much more intensely because you have more of the tools to be able to alchemize it and make sense of it. So those who don't have the tools to make sense of it will probably be getting a small part of it. But those of us who have the tools to make sense of it or try to rationalize it or experience it from a wider perspective, we're able to kind of filter it through and alchemize it for the collective. So a lot of the feelings you're feeling aren't merely your own. You're feeling a lot of collective energy, and not to worry about this, not to think you're going mad. There's a lot sifting through, and as conduits and channels and healers, we sort of signed up for it in a way. And it's like you're helping to alchemize the whole planet and the whole of humanity. So just know that if you're helping to shift something through yourself, just ask for it to be released from the all, and that should bring a lot more alleviation. I'm also getting, don't try and stick too hard and fast to mental stories, if it's like, oh, this is happening because, well, it's okay not to know why you're feeling something. It's okay not to know why something's playing out. And the guides are talking to me about prophecy. The gift of prophecy is switching on in so many of us again. And a lot of us are feeling stuff that's coming up in our future. So, for example, before the pandemic hit, about a year before the pandemic hit, I started having unexplained panic attacks in my body. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I went into complete overwhelm. I knew there was a shift coming for humanity. I had no idea what that looked like. But I was really, really kind of going into this overwhelm. So I changed my whole business. I closed my business for a month, and I took everything online. I took everything onto Zoom because I thought I just can't be doing things in person at the moment. I didn't know why. I followed the guidance, and then 6 months after I took everything online, the pandemic hit, and I was already set up to work online. So some of us are receiving prophecy through our feelings, and we may not know why we're feeling what we're feeling, but you've got to follow the guidance and follow the flow. And just trust. Your body consciousness is incredible. The diva of your body is such an instrument of truth, and it will know if something feels good or right for you, or if something no longer feels like a fit for you. So we have to listen to our body. Sometimes when we ignore the body, that can turn into illness or other issues, but we have to listen to the body. Where does the body want to be? What does the body want to do? Where is the body guiding us? Because our physical body is really in alignment with our higher self and our soul, and it's only the human bit of us that, that kind of questions that goes, oh, hang on a minute, no, I want this, that, and the other, and our human programming gets in the way. But the body consciousness knows exactly what the soul wants. And when your body's feeling good and comfortable and happy, it's easier to listen to your soul. So physical comfort, taking care of your needs, nourishment is so important right now. Being close to nature, creating a sacred space for yourself where you can really easily connect, and doing things that light you up, maybe listening to gentle music, taking a salt bath. All of these tools are things that I use all the time to bring myself back into balance, because it can be really easy to swing out of balance with what's going on at the moment on our planet. And also, just reminded again of the animals, if you can be around loving animals, they're so healing for us right now, and they need the healing from us too. I'm also getting a lot of babies are being born at the moment. I'm a new auntie to both a niece and a nephew. My brother and my sister have both recently had new babies. And so interesting, my nan passed, my sister's cat passed, so there's been a few deaths in the family. And then we've got these 2 births as well. So the gateway is very open at the moment. But what I'm hearing is that even more souls are coming through without amnesia. And we've got some very, very high frequency children coming onto this planet at this time. And there's a real thinning of veils happening. Also, you might be finding that a lot of memories from your own childhood are coming up, and positive, happy memories might be being jogged at this time. Hold on to those happy memories. Really let yourself go back to the childhood you and nurture and nourish the childhood you. I feel like this is going to help as we experience this kind of split in humanity. This is going to help in terms of re-engaging and reconnecting with your family. And, if you've got family members who are really kind of holding on to the old ways, who are just going into the fear thinking, holding on to your happy childhood memories is going to help you to connect to your family members, going to help you to feel safe, them to feel safe, and not to allow this division to come into your family or into your home and create a split. Love is what's going to see us through, and we can't force anyone to believe what we believe, otherwise we're going against love. Follow your path, let others live as they choose to live. We're not here to rescue, we're not here to save anybody. This is more, as healers, it's an invitation. We have the tools to help. We're not here to do it for them, but we can actually offer help and assistance if and when they are ready. And I know that that's really hard. If you've got someone that you love dearly who is really not wanting to step onto their path, it can be really hard to just let go and observe. But this is what we must do, is live and let live. Anyway, I feel like that is all the message that wants to come through now. But again, just the reminder to love the soul, just see the soul in everybody. And this is how we're going to really help humanity. The card that is on top is Archangel Christos, who of course is represented as Yeshua in the Archangel Fire Oracle. And Yeshua's message was so simple: love one another, just love one another. And we are really in the return of the Christos. And, this whole story of the second coming of Christ, well, it's us. It's not, it's not one person. It shines through us all, and that was his message. This is divinity, this is gnosis, this is what, the Essenes knew, this is what the Gnostics knew, this is what the Cathars knew, and there's a thread of this truth through every mystery school on the planet, through the Kabbalah, through the Sufism, Gnosticism. Every world religion has a mystery school, and this is, the truest love is sacred union within. And we're returning to that now. We all carry the Christ light within us. And the two, interestingly, I've flipped the pack, cut the pack, and the 2 cards that that I also got on Instagram this morning have also shown up. So we have Yehudiel, and I'm also drawn to his heart here. He's a real leader, real warrior of the heart, and he's wielding this whip made of stars. And it's like, how can you start to move heaven and earth into alignment through your will? If your will be love and true love, then you're helping to bring all of humanity into alignment with true love within and without. And then finally we have Uriel. This card, the Ruby Ray, really to me is all about forgiveness, deep forgiveness and compassion. Where can you be more forgiving to yourself, more loving towards yourself and others? And, you know, if you throw a tantrum, cut yourself some slack. And if someone else throws a tantrum, cut them some slack too. We're all human. We're all struggling. We've all been through a lot. We're all going through a lot. Just try to be kind to each other. And then I just feel that these last two, actually these last three, really are where it's at. So it feels like the ultimate reading for today, really. So I've pulled these three cards. So we have Azrael, Angel of Death and Transitions, really helping us through this tricky time where everything feels really uncertain, but he's holding out a reassuring hand and he's saying, you've got this, you're going to cross this bridge, you're going to come across to the other side, and the lamp is lit, there is light here, there's light at the end of the tunnel, you're going through a death and a rebirth. I have Sariel, who is all about finding the light in the darkness. Even though everything looks scary, it's like you're emerging from the cave. You've found, you know, if you feel like you've hit rock bottom, you've found the light, hold fast to the light and it will guide you through. And that light is the light of your own soul as your compass. And then finally, this is the absolute card of surrender, beloved Zachariel, who basically says to us, you know, if you can't find your way through, if you don't have the solutions, if you're out of options and you can't figure out why something's happening to you or what it's happening for. And I feel so many of us are doing this. We're having this on an individual level. I myself have been through some strange times lately that I can't make head nor tail of. And I'm Libra, so I'm mind, so I'm solutions based. But it's like, if you can't find the solution, stop worrying about it, hand it over to the divine, and the door will open when it's meant to. Stop, rest, let go, relax. Dance in the sun, let yourself reconnect to joy. Just be. We don't need to know all the answers. We're so conditioned to believe we need to be in our masculine, rational logic all the time that we're missing a lot of the magic that our soul wants us to experience. Just be, just sit. In stillness, in silence, feel the sun on your face, let yourself dance under the moon, and the path will open when it needs to, but surrender, 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 let the soul lead is the message here. Let the soul lead. Sometimes we're put in a holding pattern for a reason, and maybe it's not a holding pattern, maybe it's an unfolding pattern or a blossoming. So that's our message for today, and I just want to say that I hope that you're all looking after yourselves, taking care of yourselves and offering yourselves all the love that you deserve and need. And I shall be putting up some new videos. I've just been on holiday to Malta, so I've had a little bit of a hiatus. There's a lot of energy clearing going on there, a lot of layers there, but I also found it really grounding and really beautiful. And I'm hoping to have some new events up on my website soon, so I will keep you posted. I will be at the Wonderment Festival in September, which is the weekend of the 22nd, I think, to the 24th of September. Love to see you all there. I'm also going to be speaking and singing at the Mind, Body, Soul exhibition in Alexandra Palace on the 13th of October. Love to see you there. And I'm hoping to be in Australia around November, December time. So I'm hoping to have some events out there and hopefully be at Mind, Body, Spirit Festival in Melbourne if I can manage to get there in time. So If you want to know how to book onto any of my events or sign up for any sessions or anything, everything's on my website, alexandrawenman.com. And I just suggest signing up to my newsletter, because that's the way that I will announce anything. I'm also on Instagram, and I try to announce things on here, but the newsletter is probably the easiest way to stay in touch. But I wish you all well, and I hope you're just being super kind to yourselves, and just a reminder to really connect to Mother Nature and anything that we can offer ourselves if we set an intention that for the highest and best for the good of the all, we're also helping each other. Lots of love and speak soon.